When you're a child, you want to do anything and everything under the sun. My dreams soared as high as the sky. Even at the raw age of 6, white shirts, trousers, Ray-Bans often appeared in the scheme of things. Every time I would watch the TV show Arohan on Doordarshan. Raise your hands if you have seen that show. I can't see much, but I suppose you're Gen Z, so you have not seen that show. My parents being an educationists and working in different locations in Uttarakhand, I learned to grow up as a fairly independent kid, lugging her own luggage and sometimes the luggage of my neighbors as well. I had a default, often an exaggerated perception of my own self, of being this heavily ambitious, studious, overly competitive kid back in the school days, mugging up equations and mugging up derivations, trying to top every single class possible. Remember the Chaturramalingam of Three Idiots? Well, I was no less. However, aside from the books, my imaginations would take me far and wide to the wonders of space and Mother Nature. And my parents left no stone unturned to expose me to the real world scenarios and observations. So, be it sitting on top of a roof in the cold, chilly, wintry nights of Uttarakhand and trying to spot the shooting stars and meteoroids and asteroids, or be it watching Kalpana Chawla on the television and being inspired by her. These were some of the things that I was exposed to and got really curious about. And every time someone would ask me that standard question of, hey, what would you want to be when you grow up? And my response would be, well, I want to be a scientist or an astronaut. Anyhow, life had different plans for me, and in fact, a surprise was waiting around the corner for me. My class 10th board exam results took a hit, and I was devastated, not because of my results, but because of this self-perception of the chatur that I had made for myself that was simply smashed to pieces. And I realized that, man, I was no superhuman, but I was just another human being trying to navigate the ways of a heavily competitive world. My life took a 180 degrees turn, and overnight, I was transported from the front bench to the back bench of the class, where all the so-called rowdy gang of the class were waiting for me with open arms. And I realized that taking a back seat sometimes is not all that bad either. Letting things pass by that don't really fit into your current state of being appeared fairly good to me. I began to catch up with other aspects of life that I had completely missed out on all this while. So, be it music, sports, athletics, taking part in debates, recitations, and going out rafting with friends, or going out hiking, making new friends. It was a completely new avatar that I had taken. And I was loving all of that to the core because it sort of helped me build myself into an overall human being, developing my overall potential. Of course, sitting amidst a rowdy gang of the class comes with its own pluses and minuses, and my class 12th board exam results blew down even further. But thanks to the values that I had gathered back then, coming from the front bench, it helped me sail through with flying colors. But I had learned the biggest lessons of my life from those years at school. And some of those lessons were that if you really want to know where you belong, you definitely need to start somewhere and take that first step. And sometimes in life, your perception about your own self might shift or change. Please be adaptable to new shifts and new changes. The third lesson that I was learning was that I should target for excellence in my skills rather than the scorecards. Basically, I was on the path to becoming Rancho and not the Chatur. Anyhow, I decided to choose aerospace engineering for my bachelor's, and this was at the time when the rest of my peers were opting for the more known fields in India, like the IT or computer science, etc. And I had nobody else to refer to or take guidance from. By the time I was arriving at the fourth year of my college, I was hungry for financial independence. And that led me to look for other alternative options for making a career. An impromptu trip to Orissa completely changed my perspective and decision making for the career choices that I wanted to make. I remember a series of events that happened and followed where I had to literally run away from the grasp of Naxalites for nearly 8 to 10 kilometers at a stretch amidst the heavy jungles of Orissa, and that landed me to a spectacular view of the Bay of Bengal, and that led me completely awestruck. I said, man, this is what I want to do. I want to go and explore the oceans. And possibly I realized what my physical body was capable of achieving. 1 year fast forward, and I was camping in jungles of Kerala, jumping, pumping, pushing, pulling, being battered and bruised inside the Indian Naval Academy. And I often spoke to the higher forces and I said, हे भगवान, मांगा तो यही था, पर इतना भी नहीं. Anyhow, jokes apart, I was very ready to receive all those blessings, and they sort of helped me to sail through and persist myself through the tumultuous times that I was faced with. Soon I was sent to Vishakhapatnam, where my job was to sit in front of a computer 24/7. And that was nowhere close to what I wanted for myself, because I wanted to go out and explore the oceans. As a topping on that, somebody in fact told me that you didn't know that women in the Navy do not go to the sea. And that came as a bit of a shock to me. It was as if the whole idea of my joining the forces had come to a smashing end. I really couldn't picture myself sitting in front of the screen for the next 10 years of my service. Days and months passed, and I was doing the same job over and over again, until one fine day, I decided to make a shift. Picked up my rucksack, ran to the nearest watermanship training center, picked up a sailing dinghy, and sneaked it out into the ocean, barely knowing how to sail her, and being a terrible swimmer coming from the mountains. But obvious, the dinghy capsized over and over and over again, until 1 hour later, I had to be rescued back to the shore. But as I returned, something very fundamental had changed inside of me. All of those equations and aerodynamic principles, fluid mechanics, structures, and every single problem that I was trying to solve on paper back at the school days began to make complete sense to me in the solace of this little dinghy away from the hustle bustle of humanity. And that, my friends, was my eureka moment. And I decided to make that as a long-lasting connection. Every weekend then on would see me at the boat pool trying to tinker around with his boat and sail it out into the oceans. And one fine day, the Navy came up with an opportunity asking for the maiden batch of women officers to volunteer for a transatlantic voyage. It was as if all those years of dreaming about going out to the oceans had come right there before my eyes. Of course, I couldn't say no to it and jumped on the opportunity. And then there was never looking back. So, dear friends, I would urge you to keep exploring. Keep exploring where your interest lies until you find your niche. Once you have a clear vision for yourself and where you would like to see yourself, stick on to that path. Over the next 3 years, I was training for something that never in my life I had imagined I would do. Leading the maiden Asian all-female crew global circumnavigation under sail. Training in varied subjects like boat handling or handling a 56 boat and sailing it out into the oceans and all around the world. Learning aspects of seamanship and weather prediction, meteorology, collecting oceanographic and meteorological data. And I was learning all of that, but more importantly, what I was learning was to build a team. I was learning the art of relationship management, and I was learning to live in harmony with 6 other humans for 254 days at a stretch away from our homeland. And I was learning the biggest lessons of my life amidst the confinement of this boat. So girls and boys, those of you who cry over breakups, feel free to meet me backstage for some insights. It was a voyage of camaraderie. It was a voyage of cohesiveness. It was a voyage of self-sustenance amidst limited resources. And it was a voyage that proved to the world what an enhanced human potential looks like and what girls could essentially go out to achieve. Transiting parts of the planet that are known to have no laws and no gods, where one little mistake could cause somebody's life or a catastrophe. I realized the true meaning of human life and the sheer necessity to conduct this piece of life well. To live in harmony with our own selves and to live in harmony with Mother Nature. And while we projected the epitome of women empowerment in India, genders always took a backstage when we were working on this boat. Because to me, human potential cannot be fully recognized or experienced till the time you completely lose yourself to your craft, beyond the limitations of your physical and mental framework. And neither the boat nor the sea could really distinguish whether it was a boy or a girl who was steering that boat, right? It was one's own personal skill that mattered at the end of the day. So while we began this journey as a personal endeavor, millions of Indians got associated with it along the way, supporting us through this adventure, a sense of adventure that exists in every single one of us. Apart from, of course, promoting and encouraging the usage of renewable energy sources, promoting Nari Shakti on a global platform, and so on and so forth. Anyhow, what I ended up realizing was that if we could really stand united, the possibilities were limitless. We could learn to find out solutions to everyday problems in a far more easy manner. If we can learn to stand united, we can come out with innovative capabilities to look at the same situations and problems differently. But all that is possible only if we can learn to stand united and work together. 5 years fast forward, and I'm back to the good old school days, this time around learning aspects of business management. Now I have a rancho mindset and not that of a chatur. And now I have come with a renewed sense of self. The problems and the situations and the circumstances may still be the same, but boys and girls, I have now learned to do a system upgrade for myself. Thank you.